Hey guys, we're here. What were you gonna do, Dylan?
Start the podcast.
Dylan, what were you gonna do?
I was gonna start the podcast, but you started it.
You got really close to the microphone.
Yep.
Were you gonna say adultery?
Adultery.
Because you were trying to say that beforehand.
I said idolatry.
Idolatry.
And then adultery the second time.
Ah, they're close. I accidentally say them the opposite.
I mean, they're very similar.
Well, they're both sin, so.
Yeah, and they're very similar sins.
Sometimes. Hello, I'm your host, Noah Price, and I'm with my other host,
Dylan Marshall.
Dylan Marshall. We're here for...
That was a good sip.
And it was a really good sip. This time it's coffee again, and not tea. But here we are for another amazing episode of Bread Ends.
And breads.
And breads.
I don't like that.
Oh. How is it different from how you said it?
No, I didn't like what I said it either.
Oh, okay. You like total regret after you said it?
Yep.
Yeah, that happens.
I like bread ends better.
That's rough. You know what's a good solution for that? Especially if it's like naughty, inappropriate things that you might say. It's good to be more consuming of Christian-like things. Then you'll speak more like Christian, and it'll be better. Like listening to this podcast. So you're already doing a great job, listener. Today, we're going to talk about some things that we're not fully prepared for. We're not going to go in depth, but it should be great to go into.
Yeah.
Let's start off, though, with our good old scripture of the day. Are you ready, Dylan?
You picked this one.
I picked this one, and I think it's going to be fitting for this podcast.
For this podcast?
For this podcast.
Specifically this one.
Yeah, not those other crummy loaves of bread podcasts. This is fitting.
What's today's brand?
Today's brand. We'll get to that. The wheat. Okay, so our scripture of the day comes out of Exodus. It's chapter 16, verse 4 out of the ESV. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I am about to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them, whether they will walk in my law or not." I'm gonna be honest, on that first day, I thought it was clay, and so I was very confused. I struggle with reading, so
bread
rained. So yeah, I thought that was a fun spot.
This day.
It's a fun moment in history that happened. I mean, it wasn't actually fun in the moment. We had a lot of God's
see bread raining from the sky.
Well, that might be fun. What kind of bread do you think it was? Manna. What is it?
What is it? I don't know.
What is it? If you don't know, that's what manna means. It means what is it? Because people didn't know what it was.
You know what bread it was? It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat.
Wow, that's coming out of verse 15 from chapter 16.
After they said, "What bread is this?"
What bread is this?
It's like, it's the bread God gave you.
Yeah, now eat it. Enjoy. Stop complaining, because literally right before that verse, they were saying, what's some of the things? Basically, they're complaining about, hey, you brought us out in the wilderness so that we should just die from hunger. Thanks, God. What was that about? And then, yeah. So Moses confided in the Lord, and the Lord, provided. And they still complained. But I thought that was a fun little moment to bring to your guys' day. How do you feel about it?
I wish it would rain bread more often.
Yeah, sometimes I wish it would rain quail.
I like quails.
You like quails?
Yeah.
Have you eaten quail
They have
before?
funny little.
They
can't see that.
You're doing a visual.
They're like little feathers on the top of their heads.
Yeah, I mean, so
and they run fast.
We get a lot of quails around where we live, and so.
Have I ever ate one? I don't think so.
I haven't ever eaten one. I don't think. I hope not. I don't think they're something you really eat. They're more for sport, which is kind of, I don't know. Is that really biblical? Is that really is that really Christian? I don't know. I don't know if that's really Christian. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's Christian? Just on the spot. Let's do a small
God gave us dominion over the animals.
Oh my gosh, dominion over it. I mean, yeah.
I don't know if that means just for fun though.
Yeah, I know.
I think he also wants us to take care of them, not just not around.
If you said they have dominion to govern, then that means the same people who govern over us, who have government authorities, have the right to just slaughter us, even if it's just for fun.
If you get into this is a great topic, Noah.
I know, I'm excited.
Because there are times in the Bible where he's like, the government's gonna come kill you, and you're gonna have to be fine with it.
You have to submit to government authorities. But does he say that's right and that you should do that?
No. He says he'll deal with the government later.
Exactly. So does that mean hunting for sport is a good thing?
Hey, man.
Or is it a gray
The animals
area?
need to submit to the government.
we have to induce fear into them.
No.
Oh my gosh, through hunting. I think hunting is usually a hobby. That's basically that's what it is. It's either it's either a hobby or it's a craft.
We don't need food anymore. Like, we don't need to go out into the wilderness to live.
So it falls into that line of a gray area of should Christians do it, and it's very. It has to do with someone's personal relationship with the Lord and where they stand, and what does it mean? Does it get in the way of bringing glory to God? And so I don't know. It's pretty hard to place. Is it okay or not? Because this falls in the same line as watching movies or listening to certain music. It's like, should I be able to? Like,
can I?
Well, you can, but it doesn't mean you should.
I'm free in Christ.
You can sin.
I'm free in Christ.
But should you sin?
Is it sinning if I'm free in Christ?
Mister, I was in Romans willfully when you know it's a sin.
Hey, man. they viewed eating food the same way you're viewing these movies and music.
Oh, that's very true.
And Paul says you're free in Christ.
That's very true.
But it's one of those.
Keep on sinning so that grace can abound. You're right.
That's a rhetorical question.
I know. That's how Paul uses it.
I don't know, man. Weaker brother, stronger brother. Music that you listen to might not be the same for what other people can listen to.
Yeah.
Depends on,
Yeah, I think it...
Hunting's in there also, I guess.
I guess, somehow. I... Personally, where I stand, I don't see too much of a problem with it. I personally don't like the idea of it being done excessively.
Yeah.
Just because it does come down to a death of a living creature. That's why I struggle a little bit more with it than, like, per se a movie or something like that. It's but then again, that gets more towards the line of like comparing sins and making some sins more than others, and it's like that's not right either. That's not how that works. And so I don't see it as a overall general it's bad. It's more of a depends on how it affects your relationship with God, which in terms affects your relationship with others, and basically it affects your ministry, because everybody's doing ministry if you're a Christian.
If you're a Christian,
it just may not be vocational. It may not be
you're in ministry,
worldview job per se.
Even baby Christians.
Even baby Christians.
Wow.
Don't sin, baby Christian. You'll ruin your ministry.
I think we need to talk about that a little bit. Can you go that way?
Can you ruin your ministry? How about that? Because that's an interesting topic that happens a lot, especially with since we're at Boise Bible College, we're preparing to go in ministry and work, and it's like that's almost a topic that's implied is that there's a possibility you can ruin your ministry. I think when it's used,
get out of Dodge, man.
Get out of Dodge. Once you do something horrible, you gotta totally switch up your ministry. Next town, you messed up this one, Well, I mean, that's okay. You just gotta, break a couple eggs before you can make a good omelet. I don't know. But I would say...
Future topic?
I would say how we use it, the term of basically ruining your ministry, is that, I mean, deep down we don't know the effects that God will use of our ministry. We can only perceive what we have done and assume from there. So, for one, we could be wrong. So what we declare as successful may not actually be success or failure. But I would say you can't ever technically fully ruin your ministry. I think you can get in the way, but like we can't limit God, basically. I don't know. What do you think?
I said it earlier. I said, hey, future topic?
I mean, we'll talk more about it in the future. Do you want to save your words?
I want to form words before I save them.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. You don't want to just throw out whatever.
Yeah, man. We've talked about this in classes, but I don't know where I sit on it.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to do the research paper before we do the podcast.
Yeah. Find more where you're at with it. See, I'm just grabbing for more where I'm at and what I'm kind of thinking, but yeah, no, that's good. Are we on to how are we doing?
How are you doing?
How am I doing? You tell yourself. Wait, you tell me how you're doing while I take a sip of coffee. Because I really want to take a sip of coffee. I have it held up to my lips and I've been waiting. Can you tell me how you're doing?
Why would you bring me into the desert? Why would you bring me to the desert, to the wilderness to die, Noah?
Okay, buddy, we're not there yet. So just hold it in and we're gonna get there.
How am I doing?
How are you doing?
I wrote down
how you're doing.
On our little outline, I'm ready for this month to be over.
Oh, really?
Basically what that means is not to date our time here.
You can. It's fun.
But tonight we have a big event.
We do.
And on Halloween we have a big event.
We do.
And they both are giving me a lot of anxiety because I'm head of the media committee, and this one that's tonight did not get advertised well.
It wasn't communicated with other people.
And so I'm trying to communicate the one that's on Halloween, the 31st.
So that it doesn't hopefully be the same as this.
I'm hoping that this one gets like good attendance, that it's fun, and that it doesn't come down on me, And
yeah, people don't just turn to you and be like, how dare you mess up? Wasn't this your job?
I think it's going to be awesome though. Like from what they're doing.
I'm excited for it.
Like what the people have put forward. I'm not trying to. I might have to do a Crummies episode if I say too much, and No, I'm not trying to bash the event or anything. I just I'm nervous, for how I could have done my role better.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it. That's what I meant more than I'm ready for this month to be over. Like,
but I mean that could also come from like, not to be like judging you, but it could be coming from maybe you putting a lot more responsibility on you, or maybe would you say it's more the fear of someone else putting that responsibility on you when it's not your job?
This month has been hard for media committee because we did not have a meeting. I usually have a monthly meeting, and so usually I set it up with my team, but we haven't been able really to do that. And then just like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on also.
Yeah. I've noticed with school in general, with COVID still going on, communication in general has been tough. It's been a little bit lacking in general. So yeah, it's not great to hear. Sorry about that.
I'm excited though.
You're excited.
Tonight we're having chicken marsala, which is the best meal.
Is it?
From our cafeteria.
I can't think of it.
It's the chicken curry.
I don't really like that one.
It's so good.
Is it?
I love it.
Is it?
Oh, ask anyone that's not Noah.
But is it biblical?
Everyone loves it. Fine, quail curry.
Yes, there we go. With bread? With mana?
Mana.
Mana?
No, don't say mana.
Mana.
Then you're doing like magic points
mana?
Or whatever.
Mana? How do you pronounce it? Can you do it again?
Mana. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Mana.
Look up the Hebrew. Look up Hebrew for what is it?
Okay.
Not right now.
Dylan, you want to hear how I'm doing?
I asked you first.
Okay, well, I was sipping on some coffee, okay?
Well, maybe
'Cause I'm really tired.
Maybe you shouldn't drink coffee at 3 in the afternoon.
I drink coffee all throughout the day. Again, I don't know if I should. Actually, that's one thing I have to always keep in check. Be like, is this a problem?
Is this a time to drink coffee?
No. Am I relying on coffee too much? It's a serious thing, because even coffee can be an addiction. You gotta
Caffeine?
keep that in check.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Do you get headaches when you don't drink it?
I don't know. I think I might, because I think there's like a day where I just didn't have coffee in the morning just because I was busy.
Yeah.
And I was like, my head hurts a little bit. Maybe that's from not having coffee. Yikes. So I made some coffee. Well, I was making coffee.
Yeah, watch out for causation, not correlation, though, too.
Yeah, it's easy to jump the gun, but also, it's healthy to keep it in check.
Yeah.
Especially for
How are you, Noah?
I'm getting there, okay? Okay.
Besides addicted to coffee, how are you?
Well, because of my addiction, I'm great. No, I'm doing all right. We're slowly getting past the impact wave that was caused from midterms and whatnot, and so I'm doing pretty all right. We have a little bit of a low weight almost in comparison of what's required for school at the moment. So it's not a huge
Tide's
lowered.
coming in.
I know it's coming in. That's why I'm trying to get...
Tide's coming in real fast.
I know. That's why I'm trying to get on top of classes I have now and get ahead so I'm prepared. Because one of the classes we're both going to get pretty soon, it's going to be a heavy workload class. And so, basically trying to be on top of things. And so I've been busy still, but overall I've been good. Just tired and busy. That's life. Dylan.
That was crummy.
That was crummy. No, actually it wasn't.
I thought we did great.
I think we did not bad. Right? That's a way to
on
say
our
it.
Last episode.
I don't think we
Spirit.
were wrong last episode.
/words.
You guys at the very least didn't call us out.
Yeah.
So if we were wrong and you didn't call us out, then you guys are wrong.
That might have been part of that. We didn't really get resources out to them for I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, we have our Instagram, but I've done nothing with it.
Oh, yeah, we haven't done a lot with our Instagrams. Some of you guys are following, which is awesome to see, but we do have an Instagram now. I was going to plug that later.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying sorry that if there was something crummy, they couldn't tell us.
Yeah. I mean, they could have emailed us.
Have you checked our email?
I've been busy. But yeah, I mean, I think we are doing pretty all right. We didn't do anything that was horrible.
I didn't.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, yeah, if we did say something wrong and you guys knew we said something wrong but didn't tell us, that's wrong. Is that biblical?
What?
So let's put it in a different.
Are we gonna
example.
go into? You want to go into our main topic now?
No. But this is another example. So if somebody,
because I can bring up Apollos.
No. If someone, bring up Apollo. Apollos is a great example. So if somebody were, let's just say, sin, and you saw that person sin, and then you did nothing about it, is that bad? Good?
Do you have a plank in your eye?
I don't know.
Are you looking at a speck with a plank?
That's a little bit different though, right?
It's hard.
Yeah. That's the fear of wanting to confront someone with their sin, is being fearful that you are going to be heretical for calling them out.
It talks about how even I
think the context of when both of those things were given clarifies a little bit more.
In Romans and stuff, it talks about judging and how how do I say this?
Pick it up.
How they were trying to put the law over the Gentiles, but they did not keep the law.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like with the plank and spec 2 is if I'm pointing out that you're doing this sin, but I'm doing the same sin and not looking at my life, not looking in the mirror, then it can be wrong.
Which kind of shows that we kind of need, it's kind of important for us to keep in check of where we're at. Especially when we interact with others.
Yeah, man.
Are we at our main topic?
Sure.
I think that's a great way to segue into our main topic.
Into team dynamics?
Yes. So our main topic this week is team dynamics.
Wow.
And this, partially the reason why we came to this is because during the weekend...
long weekend,
Dylan went to...
Yeah, you didn't.
Is it technically called a retreat?
Yeah, it's a retreat.
So Dylan went off to a retreat. I did not, and so we didn't really want to spend a lot of time of focusing on researching the big thing. But Dylan does have his experience from the retreat he came from.
Heck yeah.
And so that's what we're going to be talking about today for our main topic. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so I'll start with explaining what happened.
Yeah.
So, our school has this thing that is called the Waypoints program. And what that means is that no matter if you spend 1 to 4 years at BBC, we really focus in on your time here as not only an academic, but in a leadership perspective, because most people that come to Boise Bible College are going into ministry and will be in some leadership position, or be involved in some team.
Yeah.
First year, you have Bible College Navigator. It's a class that all students take. Noah took it.
Yeah, it's a class that's very similar to most college classes, where it's
like just a...
It's a
introductory course.
It's an introductory to how colleges work. A lot of people take it for granted just because it's like, oh, well, I know how things work.
I know how to turn an assignment.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's better to not assume. Make sure we're on the same page, and look out for those people who don't know.
Leading into my retreat this weekend, though, like it prepares you for college. But the big things is one of the first things you do in that class is you take your learning styles inventory. Do you remember taking that in the library?
If you described it better, probably.
It's like, hey, are you a visual learner? Are you kinesthetic? Are you listener?
Yeah.
Type thing.
Which one are you?
There's a little green paper.
What do you?
My biggest one is kinesthetic.
Okay. And then I assume visual after that?
I think so.
Yeah, because auditory is very, very low. Not a lot of people, which is a bummer. I wish I was high at it, because
it's a bummer because
that's a common way of
most people
teaching.
lecture.
Yeah, lecturing and even just the podcast here of us just speaking.
Yeah,
there's so much that we consume.
I mean, that's why I put little quail feathers with my finger on my head, and you're like, hey, they can't see that.
Yeah, I was like, they can't see that, man. I would say I'm very much a visual learner.
Yeah.
And then probably kinesthetic after that, and then auditory. Which I would like to say I bumped up the auditory at least a little bit by just...
Well, it's required for...
Well, yeah, everybody's
classes
just spending more time working on that. But, yeah.
So you do your learning styles inventory, and then you also do a self-assessment and personal performance review with one of our leaders. We take the TJAT test.
What's that?
That's the one that you took at the very beginning that you wouldn't had a meeting with Cody.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a personality test that you take, and then the dean of students reviews it with the boys, and the head of student life reviews it with the girls. And it just kind of sets, okay, this is where I'm at, and helps you make where am I growing from this plan?
Yeah, and it very much points out where you could possibly fall into of pitfalls, basically, of problems. So yeah, it's a lot of underlying things where it sucks. It sucks to hear a lot of things because you're very much called out as like, hey, you could easily mess up and do this wrong thing, and
be aware.
But yeah, that's the point of it, is to help you be aware that that's a possibility. So like, for example, someone who can be more in that typical like uptight and never voice problems or never express deals and never vents can easily be in a situation of at one moment they're going to explode and it becomes a big old issue and a lot of pain from that. And so stuff like that where kind of points out those possibilities in you. It sucks, and sometimes it's hard to really take that to its full potential, but that's at the very least the point of it.
Yeah. And then freshman year, another class you take is Christian life. If things work out, you take a freshman year.
There's a lot of seniors who take Christian life, so it's like they're following you. It's like, oh, now you're doing
in the
that?
Waypoints program, they try to get you through Christian life in the beginning. And this is just like how... Well, it says Christian life. But basically it's based on submitting and devoting yourself and your academics and your ministry to God while explaining BBC's competencies, and it's a whole big thing. Basically, it goes over
the general concept
the
of
character that BBC expects
of a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say, yeah, like the general life of a Christian. So one aspect that I found the most helpful, like one of the biggest ones that pops out to me is the idea of like your worldview.
Yep.
And so how you perceive things through a worldview, and so how as Christians we're supposed to get a new lens that we perceive the world, and that's through a Christian lens. And so, which is based off of God and the Word. And so that was just one concept of like, oh yeah, this is how Christians should be walking in their day-to-day lives and whatnot.
And then you go into your sophomore year, your next year, year 2, and you take a class called Sophomore Seminar. And Sophomore Seminar is with the leadership professor, Mr. Faber. And he puts you through a couple different personality tests, but it really is focused on self-assessment, where you fit, and he has you take the 4 temperaments. I don't know what that test is actually called, but
I can look
cleric, sanguine, melancholy, phlegmatic. Noah, do you know what you got on that?
No, I have nothing. Let me. Oh, what I got personally?
Yeah. What section of the 4 do you fall
I'm trying to think of what it's called.
You weren't in sanguine with me, I know that.
No. I was very much similar to Faber.
Oh, melancholy?
Yeah, the
Analytic?
very analytic, technical, and reserved and quiet. And so that's very much the one I fall into.
I always fall into sanguine, but I ride the line between sanguine and phlegmatic.
Yeah.
And I make that very vocal.
Which
people
one?
come and are like, "You're sanguine."
Wait,
like, no.
Which one was the bottom right? Again, visual learner. That's how I kind of learned them more, was because they were in different boxes and colors, and so it was the bottom 2. That was
Melancholy, phlegmatic.
Yeah. So those were the 2 I was very much. What's phlegmatic similar to again?
Phlegmatic.
In common man terms.
Phlegmatic. As a 6, I would put you in phlegmatic. As a 6 on the Enneagram.
What? Yeah, I was gonna say, what's a 6?
A whole thing, which I hate putting people in boxes.
Around this town, personally, our class and a lot of people during that time on campus was taking the Enneagram test, which is another self.
You'll take it in Gen Psych.
Assessment. Yeah, in Gen Psych, which is when I was taking it. You're doing Gen Psych now, which is general psychology.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was a 6 and you're a 2. Yeah, and so that's just another one of those tests where it.
So phlegmatic, which they're the peacemakers, basically.
Yeah. I just kind of forgot which one it was.
If someone like says, "Hey, let's do this," and they have someone else said, hey, let's do this, they usually pick whatever one will make the most people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
That's that one. Sanguines are your energetic, fun ones. Not that others can't be.
But they tend to be more...
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
it's so
like...
hard to explain them without putting people in a box.
Yeah. I'm trying also not to like give it like a negative connotation to it, but basically like don't try to take this in a negative sense. I can't think of other words to describe it. Dylan probably will once I say it. So don't put this in the crummy
it's a phlegmatic
category.
Thing to do.
But basically, almost like it is. But basically, like the willy-nilliness. I guess not stress on certain things too much.
It's not about the competition. It's about the people.
Yeah. And so sometimes not focusing so much on the objective type deal, which a lot of times like melancholies can focus more of like we need to get this thing done.
Clerics are your drivers and melancholies are your analytics.
Which one's the clerics?
Clerics are your drivers. They're like the people that are like very, very goal oriented, and it's like I'm gonna drive us to the goal and nothing.
Yeah, at all costs.
Mm-hmm. And then melancholies are very analytic, so they like very information and
yeah.
This is what we need to do now.
And so yeah, that's a big part of sophomore seminar is self-analyzing that aspect of yourself.
And then it does emotional intelligence and a growth plan, as well as internships. But emotional intelligence is good. It's good for any team. I'm glad that they bring it up in there, because do you know what that is?
No.
Do you remember?
No. You have to do a little bit more.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence is just like, okay, if I say this, will it hurt someone's feelings? Maybe I don't say that. It's just being aware of other people's emotions and being smart with when it's appropriate to say what.
Yeah. Which is important for all people, no matter what role you play. That's kind of important because you could still say the wrong things at the wrong time.
And then in the journey, we get to Junior Summit. But before we talk about that, because that's going to be the meat.
That's going to be the meat of today's
I'll
episode.
throw up to senior year. So the year after you do Junior Summit, you go to Senior Capstone, and the course is all about what have I done this year? What have I done the past 4 years? Self-assessments, like how did I grow? What's my plan for the rest of my senior year and going into ministry? Exit interviews, focus groups, and one-on-ones with faculty and staff. Which we can't talk about because we never experienced it.
Yeah, we haven't experienced that.
That's next year.
So a lot of that is looking back on where we have grown. Okay.
It's when you write your book, There and Back Again, The Hobbit's Tale.
The Hobbit's Tale. Nice.
Junior Summit. So Junior Summit's, I'm just going to read. Junior Summit is a 48-hour team dynamics retreat open to juniors and seniors. During the retreat, students are guided through activities which are often debriefed in group and one-on-one mentoring.
Nice.
So, basically, Junior Summit, it's a leadership retreat, which actually Faber said, no, it's not. It's a retreat that focuses on your place in a team. And part of being in a team is submitting to the leader, even though we're all leaders.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that was also talked about in like sophomore seminar was of I think melancholies, like people who they tend to not be the front running people in your face leader, like people look to as the leader. They're more of the support leader, and so they lead by supporting the leader. And so stuff like that, part of that.
But so Junior Summit's all about self-awareness of your leadership potential and style, where you fit in a team, where gaps might come up if you're in team dynamics, and hey, you're missing this. And then allows students to update their growth plan through one-on-ones. So, talking about team dynamics this episode. Continuing on, I guess sophomore seminar to
Junior Summit.
Junior Summit. You're talking about it. We noticed in our group just some things. You go in, and they talk about fire is hot. They say that a good team is focused, inclusive, relational, and honest. And when one of those things fails is often when you see failure of a team. When you are not focused on the goal, when you have not set goals that you are focused on achieving them, when you're not inclusive, when you push people to the sides and say, I'm going to do it on my own, when you're not relational, when you stop caring about the personhood of the people on your team and view them more as machines, and then you are very, very cold towards them. And then honest, when you see a problem or something's not working and you say nothing. Those are where teams fall apart.
Is that when it's just one of them, or like all together?
If one of those 4 areas fail, usually all of them end up failing.
Okay. So they all
like a house of cards.
They're all connected and supported. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then we went through the Johari window, which I'll pull up.
Yeah, what is that? Again, just preference. I did not go to Junior Summit, so all this stuff I don't know about. I made sure to have Dylan not really tell me about this, so then I'm like you guys. We're in the same boat.
Come on, internet. So the Johari window. I'll get an image of it.
Yeah, image.
Basically,
visual learning.
This is all about self-growth, really.
Okay.
And where you work in a team. There's 4 sections. Top
left.
Top left is open area, open. Top right's blind. Bottom left is hidden, and then bottom right's unknown. And these are based on like your skills and leadership style.
Okay.
So your first one in your top left is you're known to self and known to others. You see this leadership style in yourself, others see it in you.
Okay.
You are, this is where you strive. This is what you know you're good at.
Yeah, and everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear. Everybody's like, yeah.
Like, they're going to look to you if something comes up in that. That's where your skills are.
Mm-hmm.
You're blind. Your top right.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the stuff that others can see in you, but you don't see in yourself?
Okay, so people see that potential and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just haven't looked at it. You haven't fully realized that that's a thing that you have. Okay.
And then hidden, down in the bottom left, is all about stuff that you've mastered from others. Means you know you're good at this, but you've put it away for some reason.
Almost like maybe a Jonah situation where you're like, nah, I'm not like that. That's not me.
You've hidden them from others.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like, there could be shame with that leadership style, or problems that you don't want to bring out. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
And then last is unknown, and those are things that you don't know, and
nobody
others don't know, and that's really where you rely on God to put those gifts, and these are gifts given by God that either He reveals through others or yourself, so they'll move into blind or to open.
Okay.
That way, and that's Johari window, and it's all about self-growth and
growing your skills and seeing where you're at.
Reflecting on, your skills.
Okay.
And so when you bring that in with the team dynamics and knowing what you bring in and what others see that you bring in, it's a thing.
Okay, so like basically based on different skills and how you work in leadership, using that from what you know and what others may know, and using that to basically work together as a team better based off of those skills.
Yes.
Okay.
The next session we had was on self-sabotage, and it was taught by Mr. Knudsen.
Would you say is that? I'm just jumping ahead trying to assume. this kind of correlated partially with hiding. So that bottom left corner of hiding some of your stuff,
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is really in on the idea that like there's a couple things that you hit. It's like the game that we played for this.
Mm-hmm.
We were up against another team and we had
What? You were college students who were playing
It was
games?
our team versus a different team.
I thought you guys are adults.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, adults can be fun too, playing games.
There was a ball standing on top of a cone.
Okay.
And then strings connected to it, and we had to move using the strings the ball from one end of the room to the other end of the room. But the other team was moving from that end of the room to the other side of the room and putting it on our cone while we were putting it on their cone. And so instead of making it so that we worked together, subconsciously we're like, okay, this is a race.
Okay.
And we basically self-sabotage is talking about how we view others. And it goes into viewing others as machines. We viewed the other team a little bit as obstacles.
Yeah, that's all they were. They were just enemies.
They were in our way. You know, we worked around them, but we didn't, view them as people. And so that's a big thing that we were talking about in this session was, hey, people are made in God's image. When we take that away and just make them machines or view them as obstacles, it's bad. And then he talked about, I don't know what he said for it, but the idea that his idea was when you're married and you have a child and the child cries, you're perfectly capable of standing up, going to the crib and comforting the child. But you wait in bed awake for your wife to do it. You know that you can go do it, but you want someone else to do it. And so that's kind of the masking.
Okay.
You're holding back your skills and hope that someone else
steps up so that you don't have
that person as a machine, that's their responsibility.
Okay.
And then the last session on that was when you do that, but also they do it to you. And so the team is viewing each other as not people, but as machines. And, I'm not going to go comfort the baby because I'm waiting on my wife. My wife's waiting on me. And so we're both just sitting there.
Nobody's doing it.
Apathy. So yeah, we went through those and we played a lot of games that reflected those. We're not supposed to talk about, just like any discussion groups.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to talk about what happened.
Closed room type situation.
In our group, we were missing an analytic. And so there was a lot of times when leadership was over, like there was a lot of roles given to one person and none of us realized that it was wearing them, where usually an analytic would realize that and divide up the task. Also, for me, I can talk about me. My personal growth was I would often notice little problems, but I would have so much confidence either in myself or in the team that I would not bring up those problems, and it created issues. And so we talked about self-advocation, that even if somebody like looks at me and goes, cool, that wasn't a good idea, just the point that I was listened to and making myself listen to would be like, hey, I have an idea. I don't care if we don't use it, but you need to listen to me for 10 seconds. And then we can move on. And how that helps, even if I do have a bad idea and I accept, okay, we're not going that way. But getting that idea out there helps not have amity in the team.
That's interesting. I would say personally, I have, and I probably still, in some regards, struggle with that myself. So that's very interesting, a concept of, it's important to do that. To have that advocation for yourself.
You're like, well, if we did it my way, then blah, blah, blah. And you internalize that. Where it just gets the stress out to get it out there.
It's just out there.
Okay, everyone knows about it. I don't feel like I was gypped because I put it out there.
Yeah. We're all on the same page. All right, cool. All right, that's very interesting. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What do you think was probably a highlight? Like, what's the highlight of it?
My highlight was I had a one-on-one with our preaching professor, Dr. Williams, and him and I just sat down with. They made us take a strengths inventory test, and him and I sat down with it, and we went over. Okay, this is what you're good at. This is what you're not good at. Do you agree with it? You know, kind of did the Johari window. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do? And that's where we decided that moving forward in leadership, I need to advocate for myself, but also advocate for others that are like me in a way that, because no one's going to do it for me type thing. So it was good.
That's interesting. What was the funnest moment? Because was it just everybody talking around? You said there was one game. In my team, probably the most fun we had was on my team was Joyce Anderson. Do you know Joyce? I should.
So Joyce Anderson was the financial advisor before Mr. Bishop.
Okay.
And she's gone through and retired, but now she's come back to school. She's like, I want the student experience. Yeah. So now she went to this.
I think for sure I've seen
event. And basically she was the financial advisor for my mom, my dad, my grandpa, and my uncle.
That's so interesting.
And like when I was born, they brought me to the school and I laid on her desk and she babysat me. And so now we're in a leadership and we're on a same team. Yeah. That we, we're partners that way.
That's so weird.
And so
but awesome.
Playing games with her, we had a blindfold game where she had to lead me around. It was just a lot of fun because she's a family friend.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. Do you have any final words you want to talk about of Summit?
I know that we're probably going to go a little later than I want to on time because of this. But, so scriptures I brought up, because I was just talking about team dynamics. And I won't read it fully.
We like to provide scripture too, just in general.
But we talked about Aquila, Priscilla, and Apollos a little bit beforehand. We mentioned that we might bring it up. Yeah. And that team, Paul was very good at making teams, but in the New Testament, that's one of the things I like to bring up, is Priscilla and Aquila were husband and wife. They were a little preaching couple, and they met this man named Apollos, who was, he was also a really good preacher, but he kind of got the message just a little bit wrong. Yeah. He had to do his own crummy section. Do you remember specifically what he was wrong on?
I don't know. I'm gonna try to guess off the top of my head. I think it was something along the lines, like I assume it was something along the lines with Jesus and his divinity, right? Yeah. Because I don't know specifically what it was, but yeah, and it's interesting. While you are fact checking, I think it's very interesting because this is the same person where we see in the Bible that churches were almost basically what we see today with churches splitting over a specific pastor or over a different pastor, and like the church splits because of what they believe or who they are as speakers. We see that in scripture over Apollos and Paul, how people are almost arguing who's better, and Paul's like, it's we're both proclaiming the good news, and that's what's more important, is the good news, not the person. Well, okay, not in the sense that people don't matter, it's just that you shouldn't split the church because of different people, but hold on to the message.
So basically it says Apollos was a really good preacher, and he knew the Old Testament and he knew about Jesus' ministry, but he only knew of the baptism of John. He was not, he was on one side of the cross. He didn't know the baptism of the Spirit. He wasn't quite New Covenant yet. And so, basically, Priscilla and Aquila went to his church, and they could have called him out in front of all his congregation, but instead they said, hey, Apollos, let's go to dinner, and let's talk about this. They gently corrected him, and that shows
Which
leadership.
Is a real good example of coming and confronting a problem in a way that doesn't just blow up.
They saw a problem, and they didn't, like, in the middle of it say, hey, problem, blah,
This is
and
wrong.
be annoying about it. They said, hey, afterwards, let's do better in the future.
Yeah.
And when we're striving towards a goal, and sometimes we fail, instead of dwelling on it at the moment, sometimes it's better to be like, next time. Your next search service, your next...
Let's focus on what we can do moving forward than all the mistakes we've made.
And then for Old Testament teams, because I just did one from both, I brought up... It's funny that we did Exodus 16 for our
scripture of the day,
but I was thinking Exodus 17.
Right
and
after.
This is just a fun story for your supportive roles, your phlegmatics and your sanguines and your have you brought up melancholies.
Woo.
How you can support your drivers.
Yeah.
It talks about the defeat of the Amalekites. So back in Exodus, Moses and Joshua were in a battle with some Amalekites, and basically what happened is Moses said, hey, Joshua, I need you to take some men to go fight the Amalekites. I'm going to go stand on this hilltop with the staff of God in my hand. And basically he was up on this hilltop, and he noticed him, Aaron, and Hur, a guy named Hur, went to the top of this hill, and they noticed that as long as Moses' hands were held high, Israel was winning, but when his hands got tired and he lowered them, the Amalekites were winning. So it said Moses was keeping his hands up, but his hands grew heavy. And he got really tired. He was tired of holding the stick up in the air.
Oh no. God's people are going to fail.
So it says Aaron and Hur took big stones and they put it under him and it gave him something to sit on. Then Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on each side, so that the hands remained steady until the sun went down. And Joshua overwhelmed the Amalekites and his army with the sword. So basically Moses saw a problem. He's like, I can't do this anymore. My hands are really tired. I need to lower them. But whenever you lower, they'd start losing. And so the supportive roles came by.
They noticed the problem too.
They noticed the problem, and they brought him a chair to sit on and held his hands up. And the big devotion that my dad now always do with this story is, hey, who's holding your hands up? Whose hands can you hold up?
I think another part of that also is for the person who is leading, let someone hold your hands. Don't be like, I have to do this. This is my responsibility. I have to do this all by myself.
My burden.
Yeah. So both of those aspects of one, allowing someone to help you, almost delegate the responsibility, while also the other person of going there and helping the person who is leading, especially when there's a problem and you see that problem.
Yeah.
And so that was very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. Thanks for that. All right, Dylan, what are we learning?
Oh man, I'm learning a lot about team dynamics.
Yep, which we talked about.
Even, it's funny, so my other classes that I had this week were missionary life and skills.
Okay.
And psychology.
Oh, nice.
And in missionary life and skills, we're actually going through team dynamics on a missionary team and how that works in other contexts, as well as with conflict and driving forward through your team there. In psychology, we're talking about positive reinforcement. And so it's kind of all
meshing together
in my brain.
That's cool. I would say quickly on the subject of your missions teams. How's that? Just a little quick snippet. How's that a little bit different than how you may see it in different contexts? Throwing it on the spot.
It's the same as any other church team.
What?
I mean,
but you're somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh no, you're still the church.
Oh my goodness. I think that hits on what we were talking about last time. I don't know if that was our second episode or first, when we mentioned about how we get in the mindset of when you go over to, like, mission fields is usually overseas, and when you go overseas, you think that they're totally different. And a lot of times it's like, well, no, it's, a lot of things are very much the same. They're people just like us. Wow.
Yeah, the only difference, instead of using the fire is hot, the focused inclusive relation, honest, they say every team needs a leader, a submission, commitment, agreement on basic goals, understanding of gifts, and prayer.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's those are all encompassed in the fire is hot.
In the fire, yeah.
But
just different ways to look at that.
One of the things that I really like is under submission. It brings up Ephesians 5:21.
Ooh.
Which is after the submit to your husband, submit to your wife.
Yes.
Submit to your master things.
Is it?
It's submit to one another.
Okay.
Out of reverence for Christ. So it's basically
it's like hitting on specifics, and then it's like, okay, now everybody.
As Christians, we need to mutually submit to the brethren. And that's going to bind Christ's servants together.
Okay. Cool. I think the main thing that stands out for me, what I've been learning, is philosophy, because I'm in introduction of philosophy, and so we've been going over a lot of different philosophies and how that interacts with us telling the gospel, the word of God, to someone else. How do we evangelize when we're dealing with different philosophies? People are coming with different mindsets, different biases, and different stuff that they believe. And when we communicate, we think just in different terms. We believe different things. So even just the simple fact of, like, what is truth? And so even our terms are just different. We don't have them defined the same. And so that's a lot of what I've been going through, is a bunch of different things. And I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a lot of wordy stuff, a lot of terms, but overall I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a very interesting topic that's very important. It's in a lot of ways it hits back on the idea of, like, different worldviews, how it, even just us having a Christian worldview, that's coming out in a different aspect. And so learning how to basically come to somebody in a discussion. How do we talk about it instead of just arguing with someone? I think an interesting aspect that we've been discovering while through this class is can you not confirm, I'm trying to think of it, but basically prove that God exists without using the Bible. And so our professor says yes, and so he's been showing us the different ways of how you discuss that with somebody, how you take them through the ropes, even just based off of their own philosophy. And so just based on different questions you ask, that you basically prompt them to, think about where their philosophy may be wrong or may not. Not in a ways like, how dare you? It's not anything like that where it's pointing at them, but, like, it's just throwing up a question, like, well, what about this? What does it mean then? If this is true, what does that look like? And so just different questions like that makes us basically think more about what we believe and what we hold true. So that's mostly what I've been learning.
Back to missions real quick, just because I thought of something.
Back to missions. What do you got?
The reason why
we're going longer than I was expecting, but
all right.
It's good.
The reason why missions is so important to really focus on team dynamics is, according to, I don't know, their current statistics, but it's been this way all throughout history.
Okay.
80% of missionaries leave the field, not because of the struggles of, it's really rough living out here, not because of struggles with the people, not because of struggles of, man, I'm not seeing growth. But 80% of missionaries leave the field because of other teammates, and that I just could not get along with the people I was working with, the other Americans I was working with, the other missionaries I was working with. And so when you go into that context, our professor, Danny Herod, really suggests doing some psychological testing through personality types, know how you're going to react in different situations, go through the team building exercises that when you get there and you're in the thick, you have a plan of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So that you're not just like, well, goodbye.
Yeah. No, you're a team that knows how to work together.
I'm done. And Paul and Barnabas split, but then never go back.
No, like that's almost a bad example we have where it's just real. Like that's something that happened.
Yeah.
And
they reconciled.
Yeah, they did. And you were saying before, because I brought this up before we started recording, and you were saying that. Yeah, well, I mean, it was dealt in a good way, but the problem is that still happened, and so it's like it's one of the last things you would expect to happen, of causing for a mission trip to fail or something like that, is because of that. But that's the highest one, which is sad to think about. Before we end off this episode, let's do our ministry shout out.
Ministry shout out.
Woo! Shout.
So on campus we've had David and Melissa Hamilton
visiting.
They're visiting, showing us all up. David's alumni of our school, and at least in my context, he's brought up a lot because he was an intercultural studies student and also very involved with the media committee, which are both things that I'm involved with. So I'm like back when David Hamilton.
He's like, oh.
Danny's like, David Hamilton and I went to India, like different things.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, I'm like, oh, I met him.
Yeah.
But he's on campus this week. Him and his wife, Melissa, are preparing to go serve with Pioneer Bible Translators in around the Chad, Sudan area in Africa.
What is Pioneer
Bible Translators?
Can't guess by the name, that's for sure.
No.
It's fine, we mentioned this like a couple episodes ago too.
So basically Pioneer Bible Translators, I will read again.
Read.
Pioneer Bible Translators bridges the gap between the church and Bibleless people. Our team is composed of Bible translators, literacy evangelists, church planters, and a variety of support personnel working to see transformed lives through God's Word in every language. We are serving 43 million people in 92 language products in 18 countries. So, Pioneer Bible Translators, they are trying to do their best to get Bibles into the hands of Bibleless people.
Yeah.
In their heart language.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So, 92 language projects in 18 countries. That's a lot of different ones. Even just the idea of trying to meet one language alone is crazy, because we briefly mentioned it was like, well, for instance, you have to know the Greek root very well, and you have to know the language that you're translating the Bible to, and it's just crazy. What was it you just found?
So I looked up, because they're working in 92 different language groups.
Yes, you're looking.
But they're currently, according to Wycliffe Bible Translators, which are partners with PBT, about 4,000 languages that don't have a full translation of the Bible.
As somebody who grew up with the Bible being in our language and being everywhere so that you can read it, so that's not an excuse to not know the gospel, that's mind-boggling. That's so many people.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
People groups.
That's such a huge need. And so, yeah, no, it's just awesome to see these people in work. And so, why we bring up this beyond it just being a crazy ministry that we both support. It's I personally know David. This is the first time I met Melissa today, though.
They've only been married for like 9 months.
Yeah. They just recently. Whenever I've seen David, he stopped by my home church, and their ministry, PPT, is the one of the ministries that my home church supports financially, and so that's just one way I've met him is through him visiting our church and talking about stuff that's going on with PPT, giving us a little analysis of a little update so that we can help pray and all that. And so that's how I've met him before and seen him and how he knows me. And so he's been visiting this week for to help
our
classes and talk whatnot and share his own experience and what's going on there. And so
our school and your church are very involved with Pioneer Bible Translators, and so we hear about them a lot, and we're friends. Nathan Davenport's a big one that a lot of our students do internships through, or when we go to ICOM, like he usually comes by our booth.
What's ICOM?
International Conference on Missions.
Wow. Okay, that's it. I just wanted that little brief explanation.
Yeah, PPT, awesome work. David and Melissa Hamilton are partnering with them, getting Bibles into people's hands that don't have Bibles in their language.
Yeah, down in the description we will have a link to the site where you can. They have a section where you can see prayer requests, and so you can pray. You can see little videos that they have that explains different stuff. And I'm pretty sure they have a spot where you can actually financially help support them. And so, that's our ministry shout out for this week. So that's gonna do it for today.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything.
Any last things? Any last words? Again, we have an Instagram. Were you gonna say adultery again?
No.
You're getting closer to the mic. I was kind of worried. I was like, wow, full circle. I see the dedication. But we do have an Instagram now. It's called Bread Ends, and so bread_ends, and so go there. That's a good way to connect with us, whether you want a specific topic for us to cover. Or for crummies.
Slide into our DMs.
Yeah, do it. We also are on Facebook personally, so for sure mine's
Dylan and Noah Marshall. No.
Separate
Dylan
accounts.
Marshall and Noah Price.
Yes, separate accounts. So I know for sure I've been posting the podcast and stuff. That's also a good way to
I share Noah's posts.
Personally connect. And so also on Instagram is where we'll actually put out questions or polls for you guys to answer. We also have an email, but
Bread Ends Pod.
A lot of people don't use that.
Yeah,
as a way to connect.
I don't know if anyone does,
but it's there. It's there. It's there for you. More of an older generation. Our generation doesn't. Our generation.
Do you know how to send an email, Noah?
Yeah, I learned because of college. But that's gonna do us today. I hope you guys had a great time listening.
Today's bread brand was team.
Team management. We are a team.
That's the brand. Go make yourself a PB&J sandwich.
Do it with some quail.
With some quail.
Some quail.
As a team.
All right, love you guys. Jesus loves you. All that good stuff. Be a good Christian, Dylan.
Be a good Christian, Dylan. I will.
Oh. Bye.
Bye.